mentioned earlier you were one of the only, if not the only student that would openly talk about your spirituality and you would talk about Christianity, which was taboo, among the
Sure,
brainy
sure.
types and the New Age. And we had a lot of, by the way, I don't know whether you knew this, but we had the head of the Universalist Unitarian Church,
Oh, I
which
did
is
not.
right across the street from UVA. And that's where they all go. That's where all the enlightened professoriate go. And, it's Ralph Waldo Emerson, his transcendentalism is where they got started. But in that ideology, Jesus is like a good teacher. That's all he is. He's not God.
Right,
Christians
right,
stand
right.
out because they
Sure.
say Jesus is God, and that pisses people who don't believe that off, makes them mad. They see it, they misread it as arrogance, but you just like openly said it. And I was fascinated by that. And, I was a closeted Christian. You've heard of closeted gays? I'm a closeted
Yeah.
Christian. So I
Oh,
came out of the
really?
closet after I got hurt and was saved. I had a miracle. And I wrote about it in my second book. So I'm not going to go
Oh,
there. I'm
fascinating.
going to bring that up
Fascinating.
at a later date. But you always stuck in my head because of that. I was like, I believe that everybody's life is kind of a medieval morality tale. You
Yeah.
have purpose. You're here for a reason. God is with you. Angels are with you. Guardian angels are with you. Your ancestors are with you. And you encounter symbols throughout your life. And there are no accidents. And you stuck with me. I was like, pay attention. This guy's story is meaningful to me. And when I had my conversion experience, I thought of you. So I want to come back and explore with you your own spirituality. I want you to share it with the audience.
Sure,
Take it away.
sure, sure, absolutely. At the time period when I just began that practice of Qigong, I had really, and I'll go through very quickly, there's really three major instances of kind of encountering Christ, in my life. And you talk about the concept of dying daily and being born again. That's really been, a part of my experience. Um, Initially, like age 19 years old, trying to grasp and get a hold of Qigong. I really prior to practicing, I would ask, Jesus and the Holy Spirit to help me wrestle with this
Wow.
meditation, to empower me to be able to to wield the pulse,
Hmm.
to be able to do good, so to speak, with it. And to be honest with you, John, there was real sacrifice with that. Like so for someone who is meditating, a 19-year-old kid who's a 20-year-old kid who's meditating 3 hours a day, I can promise you, my nightlife looked extremely different than
I remember. I
than
remember.
95% of the University of Virginia. Even the band I was in, like a lot of the shows I was playing back then, was this sort of straight edge environment. It wasn't the typical kind of rock and roll. I know we kind of went over the music before, but that was certainly
But the babes were part of it.
yeah, sure. I mean,
Yes.
there's always that
So,
temptation,
yeah.
there's always that temptation. And but that was certainly a part of revving up my practice. I always associated with that. Like, and I thought that that was instrumental in being able to meditate for that, for that period of time with the right intentions. Um, and it was later, actually, there were two instances. One was just I think that when you are meditating that much, you become open to having dreams, having inspirations, having gaining the type of intuitive impulses to to step into the right, sort of pathways of destiny, if you will.
Especially if your intentions are good, but if your intentions are bad,
Oh, sure. Yeah,
you
then you
can
can
step into the wrong thing.
right. And then I
So,
think and I think that if your intentions are bad, I think you're at sort of risk with Qigong practice to I mean, who knows what you might be funneling into yourself.
yeah.
If that's the case, that can be kind of dangerous. Um, there was one instance where that has really influenced my life where I had just gotten I was in my second law firm. And I was working for a guy he was out of state, but he was running this law firm in Pennsylvania. And I didn't really think about this, but I was the only attorney in this law firm. And I had paralegals, but it was all set up by this guy out of state. And so I was essentially following his direction, going out, meeting clients. We had fairly strict standards as far as I go out, I meet clients, I do their estate plans. But before I joined that law firm, the lawyer before me had done things in a completely different way. And essentially, what he had done was he had agents go out and meet with clients and do all the consultations and take the money. And he wasn't doing it, which is a big no-no when in law practice.
Yeah.
And this was unbeknownst to me. So anyway, one day I was, you know, the time period, I think I was living in like I was just getting started, just out of law school. I was, probably about, $300,000 in debt. I had a dream that this is the first dream. I'm gonna go through two dreams. The first dream was, so during the Qigong practice and like I'd been reading these books from the Quest bookshop, which has got to be long gone by now in Charlottesville, Virginia. Are there such thing as bookshops anymore at all, anywhere?
Yeah.
It's come to that. Um, I was really into, astral projection and trying to do astral projection. And it
Ooh.
was something, it never came easy to me, but there were five or six occasions where I was actually able to like have something beyond a lucid dream is the only way I can describe it. Very difficult to maintain, um, that position where I was like outside of my body and observing things. And it was rare. I couldn't do it on demand. It would be like every few it was 5 or 6 months, I'd have some sort of experience like that. Very different than a dream or a lucid dream. On this one occasion, I did have this astral projections experience. I went out of my body and I was going up, and I remember that I was meeting. There was always this is going to sound bizarre, but there's this one girl I was friends with at the University of Virginia. We would always meet in the astral world,
Wow.
and we would talk to each other, and it was hey, John, and I'd say like, let's call her Sue. That's not her real name.
All right.
She would say, I would say, I had this crazy experience last night. I saw you. And she's like, I saw you. And we talk about what we saw. It was really bizarre. Like it's almost unbelievable. Like it's like my physical self can't believe what has happened and what we're sharing with each other. So on this one occasion, I met her and then I was going just up somewhere. And I remember what I remember is like there was this mountain, and out of the corner of my eye, I caught like an image of it looked like a guy, like it's about 100, yards away, and it looked something like a guy in a caravan. But immediately I knew, I was like, it's Jesus Christ. And as soon as before I could get the words out, it was like this force hit me, like this
Well,
massive force. And I was like encased in this block of bliss,
wow.
pure bliss. Like it was suddenly I had forgotten everything, like everything about Billy Ravenel, Earth Life. I was in this block of bliss. And then at some point, it seemed like I was there forever. I start fading into my body, like back into my physical body. And this is the most bizarre thing, John. Was I fading back into my physical body, I could feel my brain, my memories, my experience. They were reaching out to this essence that I'd become in this block and like drinking it back into me. And I was like, oh no, like,
It pulled
you
you
know,
back in.
expletive. I'm becoming Billy Ravenel again. This is horrible. That's really how I felt. I was like, I don't want to. That is 100% how I felt. And man, I just woke up and I was weeping and and like yeah, I couldn't put my eyes on this figure, but I knew instantly that is Jesus Christ.